Hello, YouTube. This is going to be the Southern Charm reunion, the first part of it. And I just realized, so they said, and next week on the part 2 of the reunion, which usually means that's a 3-part reunion because Andy will usually say at the end, and join us next time for the Southern Charm finale when it concludes. And he didn't say concludes. So that means we're getting a 3-part Southern Charm finale, unless they're messing with us. Also, I feel like since BravoCon is this week, they should just not air any Bravo shows. It's too much, man. It's too much. Come on, let's put Bravo on pause while BravoCon happens. How are you guys doing? If you're watching this on YouTube, know there is a podcast of the same name that you can find out. And tomorrow's episode is going to be awesome because we have Ariana Madix and the Southern Charm reunion. So if you want to go listen to Ariana from Vanderpump Rules, these are multi-layered shows that have timestamps, and you can, if you just want to hear an interview, you can hear that. If you want to hear a recap, you can hear that. Like to Monday's episode, we did a pop culture roundup with Sophie Ross about a bunch of pop culture and Bravo stories. And then the second part of it was the Salt Lake City episode 2 recap. So you get the best of everything. Now I'm going to hit record on the podcast version of this and we'll get going. Okay, here we go. 5, 4, Bapa do Bapa DDD. Welcome to your Southern Charm reunion recap, episode 1 of the reunion. Very exciting. I'm very excited that we're almost close to the end of another season. Sure, that's exciting. But also, this was actually a good reunion, I think. And the funny thing is, you guys, I watch these shows multiple times, and in my old age, I pick up on things each time. Like I'm not even talking about like I get a little bit wiser at each time out. No, like I actually I'm like, I completely forgot that scene was there. That's wild. Oh my God, Olivia was crying towards the end backstage. Totally spaced that. So it's always good that I watch these multiple times to be able to really give you the best overall view of Southern Charm that you can possibly have. Now, thanks goes out today to Sarah Chater. I think I'm saying your name right. She gave an overview of the notes. Now, this isn't a direct line for line reading of the notes, which I usually do, but then I also did a transcription app. So between these two things, and me watching it 3 times by memory, we are going to try to give you the best Southern Charm recap experience that you will have. Of course, these reunions always start with the same thing, and they're always exciting. It's backstage footage, it's people bringing in their luggage and their suits, and, Shep being scared. By the way, how many people saw Shep's leg just shaking the entire time on the couch? He's like, what are you talking about? Then Austin was very tanned face. Craig, you can tell he dropped the 20 pounds that he was very proud of. Craig, listen, I can make fun of him all I want. The dude kind of feels like, to me, a supermodel. He's a very attractive dude. And like I said on Monday's episode, I believe Craig gay baits Andy. I believe he knows. He flirts with Andy nonstop. I think Andy truly loves it, right? So also, this is the first reunion for Taylor, not Naomi. Naomi is back. Leva's done one before. Vanita, it's her first one. And of course, Olivia, it's her first reunion as well. And as Austin puts it, when they first come on stage, it's like, oh my God, we're totally outnumbered. It's 3 guys to all you girls. And at the same time, I feel like the guys still get the main chunk of story action. And I feel like we need to change that. Also, we got our first look at Southern Hospitality, which I have been talking about all season long, which is Leva's spin-off show that we've been hearing about for years, where she is the title character like Vanderpump Rules, like Lisa was. But now I wonder if Leva is kind of pissed that they called it Southern Hospitality. I would want it, what could you call it? Leverage a job. Like I was trying to put Leva's name in there, Leva. Anyways, a name's going to come to me, but I wonder if, or Bonaparte. Bonaparte Rules. Is that because it's Leva Bonaparte, right? Leva Bonaparte rules would be kind of interesting. But regardless, we see this happening. And I have to say, I really liked Leva's first season. This season, I got to say, especially with the finale, listen, Craig acted like a jackass, but Leva didn't really seem to want to be there. And also she didn't participate a lot of the activities this season. And it almost felt like she was there because she had a show on Bravo and needed to keep showing her face on this show. So we knew her, but at the same time, it just didn't feel genuine to me. I could be wrong. She feels very judgmental. And maybe that's why her Southern Hospitality show might do good, might be good, because she is in that driver's seat, which is where she seems to want to be. Also, I hope they bring her son back to see if he's gotten any better with his cooking skills, since every damn scene that Leva was in this season was with her dog or her son cooking something in the kitchen. I swear it really disappointed me that at the end we didn't have like a buffet made by this kid in the season finale. Like that would have been nice if the kid cooked all the food for Craig's sewing down South party, but alas, but you know what I'm saying? Like Leva, does she have a likability problem to a degree? I just don't know if I feel like I completely know her. And I don't know, like, it's one of those people, we're used to the men on this show thinking their shit doesn't stink, but Leva really sometimes seems like she has this attitude like her shit doesn't stink. But listen, I'm going to still watch the hell out of Southern Hospitality. Hell yeah. So we all have these people. Andy's coming in. I love these are shot in New York. So Andy just walks from his apartment. He's like, and he's so used to doing reunions by now, but you can tell with the Southern Charm ones in particular that he loves doing them, that he's very at ease. I'm sure he goes into the Beverly Hills ones because he flies to LA for that he comes in really tense because he also knows a lot of those ladies are just miserable to deal with. But Southern Charm, I think it's like when he does the Summer House one. I think he's like, yeah, I like the young energy. All right. Hot dudes to look at. I think that's how he goes into these things. The beforehand scenes, you have Taylor kind of saying like, oh my God, Shep tried to pull me aside and ask if he could talk to me. And I was like, no. Good, Taylor, good. Shep needs to learn a hard lesson. I don't know if he'll ever learn it, but also how fascinating that we got that Demois, the Demois blind this weekend that we talked about on the Pop Culture Roundup, where Austin and Shep's ex Taylor were spotted at a bar together. And even after this first one, I think a lot of people said, wow, they seem to really care for each other. Could Austin and Taylor ever date? Now, Taylor, we know, is good friends with Olivia. And Olivia obviously has an issue with issue with Austin. And they tried dating, and you can tell even through this reunion that it did not turn out exactly well, and she still has her feelings hurt about it. But can we go there? Can we get toxic like that? And if we can, I believe Taylor has definitely another season on this show. I was trying to see like, oh, how can they keep Taylor if she's broken up with Shep? But if we have that Austin thing, I think we got a really nice entrance point. But then why do we keep Olivia? You always got to wonder in between seasons why they choose to keep who they keep and who they let go. Now, of course, Craig, Shep, and Austin, no brainers. Madison, remember, she came on as kind of a friend of, and she is married or will be married and has a son. So less likely to see her. Leva is obviously going to Southern Hospitality. Who knows if she'll do both. And Vanita, if Vanita comes back, I just need everybody to stop using her as a punching bag. Like literally, it feels like they pick on the easiest person sometimes. And I want Vanita to come in with this season Sutton Strack energy and just be like, how dare you, Madison? You're the biggest phony in Charleston. I say. Like, I want that Sutton energy from Vanita next season if she comes back. But I don't know if she will. We also see a lot of scenes from the reunion. They always show us what we're about to see. I know that's called like a tease. They're teasing the episode, but also it just feels like, man, we're wasting time here. Why don't I see the scene about the great meatballs in, like, we're going to see it in a second. Did you need to tease that? Like, we're going to see all of this happen. If I'm watching Southern Charm, the chance is I'm there for a reason already. You don't need to sell me. Like, I'm not going to be like, wait a sec. this preview sucks. I'm not watching it. Like I have to watch. It's like a curse. I have to watch these things now. Come on. So all of this is getting ready to take place. The reunion excitement is in the air. And, Catherine also says in this that she is watching Shep become Thomas Ravenel right before her eyes. And I thought that was a very powerful statement. Craig is fixing people's pocket squares because, these guys really care about their suits. Vanita says she's doing Barbie-core as her aesthetic today. Also Vanita says she might lose some friends today and she's okay with that. So we see them all sit down, and Austin, that's when he says, oh my God, we're so outnumbered. And, Austin, like Andy's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. And Austin's like, yeah, what's up? What's going on, man? I'm Austin. All right. So we start the reunion. The excitement is in the air. And I got to tell you, within the first 10 minutes, I mean, Taylor annihilates Shep. I feel like that. And a lot of people are being very critical of her because she used the word whores. That's spelled WHORES for all the kids watching or listening at home. And I don't necessarily, I think in the way she used it, she was saying she herself was. But I also, we'll get to that moment and I'll try to explain a little bit more about what I mean about that. So the Southern Charm Season 8 reunion starts now, Andy Cohen says. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Southern Charm Season reunion. I'm Andy Cohen, joined by the Charleston crew to break down another season. Hey, everybody. These are always my favorite part where Andy goes, hey, Craig, how you doing? Good, man. Good. Yeah. Happy to be here. Just, and then Andy's like, just so you know, you don't actually have the authority to kick anyone out because that's what he did at his holiday party with Leva. And Craig's like, oh, of course, I won't do it. I won't do it. Okay. And then he's like, Vanita, Olivia, Taylor, welcome to your first reunion. And they're like, we all dress like Barbies. And like, oh, yay. And Andy goes, Olivia, who gave you the best advice for today? And she says, Leva and Catherine, they said it's just best to remain calm and be yourself. And Andy's like, amazing. And then he's like, Catherine, how does it feel to be back on the couch? It feels great. So also we find out that Catherine has gone back to her original hair color of red. So congrats go out to Catherine on her new hair color. And she says she is going to keep this hair color for a while. So that's very exciting news. Then Andy also asks, hey, Shep, what's going on? Is little Craig enjoying the married life? And Shep lets us know, and I let you guys know on this program a couple of weeks ago, that unfortunately little Craig and Peaches split up because Peaches found out that little Craig had an active doggy Raya profile on his doggy cell phone. But they actually have split up. And so Andy was like, oh, kind of like little Craig's dad. Ooh, first burn. And we get these shots of Taylor throughout, you guys, that are just really uncomfortable because you can tell she is just really, really bummed still, Okay, so we also get the moment of Madison. Hey, Madison, last season you had revelations from last season's reunion that may have led to Bennifer because you flew to Miami to be with an ex-MLB player. Is this someone that you have, someone you had DM'd with? And we had that scene where Madison said, yeah, he, the MLB player, Jennifer Lopez's ex A-Rod, he's like, yeah, he contacted me and that. And then we go over to Austin. Hey, Austin, your hair looks great today. Are you using any new products? And Austin goes, you have to ask the hair and makeup girl, apparently. Which, by the way, I wish we would have seen more of that because Austin was probably flirting with hair and makeup. Like Austin should just have business cards that say, hey, I'm 6'5". What up? Austin. That's my name. So Andy's like, great to see everybody. Great. Okay. Well, this season, many of you found out that the hardest part of running with this crew was running into your exes. You know, nearly everyone in this group has shared one love or another. Madison and Olivia have both been with Austin. Catherine shares some commonalities with Naomi and Taylor. Are there any others that we don't know about, Andy says? And then Madison speaks up and is like, oh, well, I think Thomas and Olivia, right? So Madison, out of the gate, says that Olivia potentially hooked up with Thomas Ravenel. Like, zoinks, what? And Olivia's like, wait, what? What? That's so random. Did you say Thomas? And Olivia's like, yeah, he's a family friend. I'm sorry. He's like, where the hell did you pull that out from? Did you pull that out from your fake ass? Olivia says. And then Madison's like, no, it's actually a real ass. I'm telling you, man, Madison seems like she potentially is an asshole, like, but she makes for good TV. She's one of those people that speaks in sound bites and clips that you pass around like, oh, check this shit out. And she's got a really good attitude at this reunion. She's playing it perfectly in the sense of she's getting those sound bites in. She's fighting and picking fights with the right people. And she's also flirting with Austin throughout this hour, which then pisses off Olivia. So she's doing everything right. She is what you would like, you know, those old like Dynasty or Melrose Place. She's the villain here, and she's really enjoying it, and she's really good at it, you know. But so they're going to be bickering back and forth. So just settle in and get used to that. Andy says Twitter ran a poll about which Southern Charm male would make the worst husband. And Andy goes, who do you think people voted the most for? And everybody's like, worst husband? I would say Shep. Shep, definitely. And Shep's like, I'm here for it. Bring it on. Okay. Like, he's trying to be positive about knowing that a lot of people dislike him in regards to his dating habits. And he's like, yeah, okay, bring it on. All right. And Andy goes, okay, well, that is true. 53% of people said that Shep would make the worst husband, but coming in a very close second is Austin. And Austin's like, God, there's only three of us. God, there's only three of us. And he also is like, man, like Craig comes out looking good by default, for the love of God. It is truly wild. You know, there are some people on reality shows that just start looking good by default. And I think Craig is one of them, because Craig has proven to have so many issues this season and how he speaks to women, his anger, all of that stuff. But then Craig, at least at this moment, is faithful. So he wins in this battle by default. But then Austin and Shep are so out there. Shep is more proud about his douchebaggery in terms of women, but Austin is the one that tries to like play both sides of the fence of like, oh man, I love to touch girls' boobs and butts. Like, I'm sorry about it though. Like, I feel bad. He's like always feels bad for his bad behavior. And he's very quick to point out his male counterpart's bad behavior, but he never kind of feels like he truly looks inward, but he'll tell you that he's looking inward. He's like, I'm doing the work, man. Like, I'm doing it. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody. And I genuinely believe that. But then sometimes you don't factor in your own actions to that. So it's like, well, yeah, you know, I'm going to tip Austin on how you can stop hurting people. Stop putting your dick in everybody that you meet on TV. Like, that's just going to be a hard rule. That's going to be a rule number one. In fact, do you think, I mean, let's talk turkey here, folks. Do you think any of these guys will hook up with a normie at BravoCon? Like, I truly wonder that. Do you think any of these guys will be ballsy enough? Do you think there's a corporate email that goes out with Bravo that's like, hey guys, let's all have a great BravoCon, Bravo Labs. Anywho, just want you guys to sign up on a couple of things. You can't sleep with anybody with a general admission pass. We're going to need you to really, and if you do, you can sleep with people with certain VIP passes, but you're going to have to get them to sign a waiver. And this is some bad news. We're going to have you wear a condom. Also, it's going to have to be a branded condom with your show's title and when it airs. Okay. Now, if you can agree to those, I feel like they've got to set, because you know what I'm saying? Like, some of these guys are probably going to tear it up because Bravo fans, they're pretty, like, they're really good looking. So I would imagine game's on. Like somebody, and this isn't like a prize or anything, but somebody's going to wake up each like a different person each night in Shep's bed, I think. I mean, that's the shit that scares me. That's the stuff. Like, by the way, I want that BravoCon panel on Sunday of like shit that happened over the weekend that we're not supposed to talk about. That is the BravoCon panel that I want to sign up for. Back. It's so funny. I have taken like a 7-hour break. Well, I interviewed Ariana, which you maybe heard just before this, and I had already recorded like the first 25 minutes of the Southern Charm recap. Really didn't make a dent in it. And now it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm finishing up the Southern Charm recap. Woo! Listen, these notes are a little disjointed. I also used this app to try to like, it's one of those transcription apps that I tried for the first time. And it's like, it's horrible. Like the transcription app, because I was trying to get line by line, and it says, I'm trying to think, like, it'll say like this: correct this season, you revealed that you're quite the same texture that start with Paige, or have you always been into it? What the fuck does that even mean? What does texture? And then I'm like, oh yes, we are now at the part we're at the beginning still, where Craig, where Andy's like, hey, you revealed this season that you're super into sexting. Is Paige into that? Have you always been into it? And Craig, I shit you not, you guys, to me, this was the creepiest line read of the night. He was like, I've always liked, I think it's a good way to feel your partner out for what they're into with having to do it face to face. Like he got really slow. He got really slow with it and serious. He goes, sometimes I can be a little shy, and maybe I'm not as shy over texting. I was like, oh my God. And the sad thing is, all you women and men and dudes out there probably were like, that's fucking hot. And I was like, what the hell? No. And he's all like tan and hairy and he's not wearing underwear. And, Andy's even salivating. And I'm like, this has got to stop. This is not, if I had a family and I don't, I would not let my kids watch this Southern Charm reunion. Then Andy, he was like, hey, were you ever on the receiving end of a sext from Craig to Naomi? And Naomi's just like, you can tell she's scared. She's like, and he's like, okay, fascinating. And then he's like, Craig, you're both in long distance relationships. Is it actually easier to date someone who doesn't live in Charleston? And Craig's like, yeah, I mean, it works. It's like, he's like, this is my most successful relationship, but temptation exists. And once again, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, what are you doing? You don't need to be this honest, Craig. What? Temptation exists. He goes, temptation exists everywhere, And then Taylor pipes up and he's like, yeah, you just got to go fly somewhere and find it. Texas, anywhere. And then everybody's like, oh shit, because this is the big, and they're like, Shep, were you tomcatting around Texas? And Shep's like, we had a lot of fun. Like I was in a new city and I was having a good time. Correct. And I, by the way, am a single man. I don't see it as like a capital offense, And I'm like, yeah, we know, man. And it's not a capital offense, right? Like it isn't. But I'm more curious, like, Andy, these are where the follow-up questions need to happen. Because I'm like, okay, Taylor, where'd you hear it? Where'd the conversation come from? Somebody in this group must have confirmed it with you. I want details. And so then this is the Taylor monologue. Now, she has gotten, weirdly, I think, a lot of heat from this. I've read even things on my Facebook group where people were saying that they were like, it was too much. It was like too rehearsed. She used the word whore in it, which they didn't appreciate. And I just took this way differently than I think other people did. And I'm not saying I'm right, even though, I mean, probably I'm right, but I'm joking. I like when I get cocky and then I apologize for it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. So Taylor, she launches into this monologue, and I gotta say, it really does kind of break my heart a little bit. And people keep saying, well, she was with him for 2.5 years. She should know. And I'm like, wait, no, because Taylor is the type of person to believe the good in everybody, So she says, you told me that you were not capable of being in a committed relationship, Shep. You don't want to be in a committed relationship. You need to figure your shit out and figure out what the next step in your life is, you know? So are you telling me A, B, and C, and all your actions were X, Y, Z? And Shep says, correct. And then she goes, so you went out, you partied, doing God knows what, hooking up with women in Texas. Poor Texas. They've been through so much. I mean, dude, she goes, do you even know her name? So now you've wrapped me into this slew of horrors you have fucked, and now I'm just a number. And she hits that, which is kind of an actory thing where you, like, somebody might have told her hit, and that is what fucked me up in the head. And I got to tell you, I was totally affected by this monologue. I thought it was so effective. And she goes, I'm sorry. He goes, I'm sorry you feel that way. And that's just, I mean, listen, I don't know what else he could have said in that moment. He's keeping his cool completely. He is not getting riled up, which is even more frustrating. And she goes, 2.5 years, Shep. And he goes, yeah, that's not a number. That's actually a long number. And Taylor's like, I was just the whore that lasted the longest. And everybody's just like, damn, bro. Like Craig's like, oh shit. Like everybody is just like, oh. And Andy goes, Shep, was Taylor your longest relationship? And Shep responds like he should be getting an award. He's like, yeah, like I've never been this serious my entire life. Like, you know, there should be a trophy coming out of like, you got super close, Taylor. We're like, oh my God, just like you missed it by like a minute. Taylor returns with, he has been searching for it the entire relationship. And Shep cuts her off and is like, for what? And Taylor goes, searching for other women. And Shep says, that's not true. And Taylor goes, looking for it here, making out with people there, texting people, whatever. He was searching for it. So now that he is single at the age of 43, he's using women to masturbate. And there's a close up to deadpan face of like Austin and Naomi because they've used the M word, masturbate. And, you know, like, but listen, I totally got this. It's weird vernacular, but at the same time, that's what he's doing because he's not considering these women equals. They are someplace, they are a home for his penis in some ways. And listen, it seems like he's upfront and honest about that potentially with these women, but Taylor is saying you can do better. Taylor was banking on the fact that he could do better. And she goes, and you're just tossing them to the side. And that is messed up to do to a woman, Shep. And Naomi purses her lip. Taylor continues, you are hurting women and you're hurting yourself. What number are you gaining? What do you want to go to? You've been through 300 women. What do you want to get to 1 million? You want to get to 1 million women? And Shep responds, what are you talking about? I don't even know how to count that, you know, like, and he's like, I'm not using women. And Taylor goes, do you like know anything about me? And Shep goes, I'm not using anybody. And Taylor goes, you were with me for 2.5 years. Do you know anything about me? And Shep goes, I think I do. And Taylor's like, okay, do you know my favorite color? What is it? What's my favorite movie? My favorite animal? Anything. And she goes, you told everybody that you're capable of being a committed man, a trustworthy human being. And Craig tilts his head back with a smirk. He's like, oh. I mean, Craig's face in this is just wild. And Shep chimes in. He's like, I didn't try at all, huh? 2.5 years, didn't do anything for you, yeah. And so Andy goes, okay, I'm curious in the group if you think Shep really tried in this relationship. Now, Leva, Catherine raised their hands, and then Shep got support from Madison, Naomi, Craig, and Austin. Leva and Catherine didn't raise their hands, but Madison, Naomi, Craig, and Austin raised their hands saying that they believe Shep did really try. And my thing is this, of like, oh, how dare they stand up for Shep? But listen, the question was, do you think Shep tried? And for Shep's abilities, he probably did try. He is just not capable of that. That is not an excuse, guys. It really isn't. But, you know, thank God now. And probably, you know, the sad thing is they're probably going to get back together, I bet, you know, I mean, or the Austin, who knows? It is a tangled web these Southern charmers weave, but it is this was really right in the first pocket of time. So it was like, holy shit. Like I was like, whoa, this was so wild to watch. And I was like, we just started the reunion. My God. I thought this would be like in the second part of the reunion, and Taylor came out with the monologue immediately. So Taylor's like, do you want to consider, like, do you want to do better? Or do you think you ignored? And then she goes, I know you could do better, Shep. I've seen that side of him that is like so pure, raw, real, and capable, but you choose otherwise, Shep, and I don't get it. And Andy asks, Shep, do you know her favorite color and favorite animal? And Shep's like, green, I would guess. And Taylor's like, nope. And I'm like, damn. And Shep's like, and animal is her new dog, Penelope? And that was a big no on that one either. And he's like, well, what's my favorite color? And Taylor's like, you told me it was purple. And he's like, what? Because I'm wearing purple? Huh? And she's like, no, because we walked and we went by a house and you were like, that's a purple house. I love purple. And at this point, Madison is just laughing because she is, listen, when Madison truly is just a friend of, so she probably is having the best time up on that stage of all the people there. And Shep says, I mean, what a silly conversation. And Andy goes, what's his favorite book? And Taylor goes, probably his own. And everybody's like, boom, mic drop. It truly did make me proud of Taylor. Now, it's just really weird because it's like, if this was my buddy, I would be like, dude, why did you? Because the other point that she did make, which I totally believe, is that he was searching the entire time. Remember, he was still on dating apps. He says it was just when he went over there, but he kept it active. He was always there in the background going, what if somebody else? There's always going to be somebody as cute, if not cuter, or just somebody that'll be willing to make out with him for a night, because those are good feelings, right? And in Shep's world and a lot of men's world and even some women's world, they are number one. They go after their own desires. So she never had a chance. And maybe, like I said last time, this reminded me a lot of Jackson Brittany. Like if Shep by some horrible chance had something bad happen to him this summer, Taylor would be the first one there for him. And that could potentially get him, like, with Jackson Brittany from Vanderpump Rules. Who knows? So that happened. And it was brutal, you guys. And she goes, now on to Catherine, Dennis, and Naomi. Andy asked about the custody battle. Is there anything that you can share with us? Because also, remember, Catherine has not been on a lot of episodes this season, and they said there was some kind of potential domestic abuse. There are pictures going around with Catherine with a black eye. We don't know who did that. I don't think it was Caleb or Kleb or Chubbs or whatever you want to say, but it is wild how somebody can fully go out of your life, come into your life, go out of your life, and not even make it to the reunion. I think that is really weird that he didn't even get a pop up. So listen, that must have ended even worse than we saw it on screen, where he didn't even show up. So she's also had a long going custody battle with Thomas Ravenel, who is just allegedly a piece of shit. I don't know. And she says, can you share anything with us about the custody battle? And she's like, yeah, I can share that Kenzie opened a lemonade stand Sunday and made $42. And I was like, dude, we could have made more, dude. Kenzie, next time come to me. We'll get it into the hundreds. And she said, and her son Saint read his first book to him and was very, very proud. And Andy asks if anyone still talks or has seen Thomas. And Shep says he saw him at a bar downtown recently, and he goes, he was his same old self. And he's like, sometimes you just can't help like just grin when you see him. He's like such a larger than life guy, And like, listen, I want to talk to you guys about that. Larger than life guys, they're so romantic in the moment. I don't mean romantic in the terms of like male, female, like rom-coms. I mean, you romanticize life, right? Like the Hunter S. Thompsons, the beat poets, the people that sucked the marrow out of the bone of life, is these people that like, God, oh, I had my best drinking nights with Thomas one night, or, oh my God, we partied all night long and he was saying the craziest things. We've all had people like that in our lives that we partied the hardest with. But these people, it usually ends up sad because they don't really, their families usually are a mess. They're great for a night out at a bar. But also, Shep, it paints this weird picture to men out there because it paints Thomas as somebody to idolize. Like you can tell there is that weird part of Shep that still's like, man, someday I'd like to be him. Even though Shep knows that that's not a good thing. So I always think that is interesting when they talk about him and Whitney to a degree, but Whitney's kind of, Whitney's Whitney, So, so she says, I don't think Catherine grins when she sees him. And Shep's like, no, of course not. We find out that Chubbs, Catherine's ex, left Charleston and now lives in Miami. It's quite a change, right? And they have a segment of Caleb and Catherine's ups and downs. And that started off at the beginning of the season at Catherine's birthday party when they had that conversation with Vanita, where Chubbs was just like, yo, if you can, say some nice words to Catherine. And Catherine, remember at the end of the night, she looked like she had pimple cream all over and just all red faced. And she was like, you betrayed me, Chubbs. And he's like, no, I didn't betray you. What are you talking about? And then we go, you petty little bitch, to Naomi. And Catherine and Naomi, this, they have their little back and forth. And Catherine at this moment gets defensive and says, when I was stomping around Naomi, she said, I know exactly what face you do when you're mad. And Catherine's like, this is all bullshit. This is all crazy. And I guess what really pissed Catherine off was that she brought Cameron, and she says Cameron and Naomi and everyone on the show have done and have brought up shit and done shit to Catherine on the show. And Catherine's like, you've said the shittiest things about me that did indeed get used in court against me. And Naomi says she's never talked about Catherine in the court filing. And Catherine says, yes, you fucking did. So this is a really hard conversation because Andy does say in this, I've known you your entire adult life. I've known you since you were a 21-year-old girl, and she's what, like 32 now? And we've seen the ups and downs of Catherine. And yes, Catherine does have a hard time taking responsibility for things, but I feel like this is a person that like a lot of guys use to use Taylor's words, like used to masturbate to be foul. And I think that could really mess with somebody's mind. And we see that. But listen, I don't know. You can just see this still is a very troubled person that probably has to deal with a lot of issues on a day-to-day basis. And I would never want to be involved with the Thomas Ravenel in terms of the legal power that he has behind him, And I think also it's hard because Catherine's like, you always have this condescending mean girl thing with me, and with Naomi, come on, even if you like her, you have to admit, she does the condescending mean thing to even Craig. She's like, Craig, are you still sewing? Leva speaks up and says, this is your own trigger. And Catherine's like, stop, Leva. Did you hear what I just said? Let me say my feelings. Let me voice what I feel. Stop shutting me down. I'm trying to express what I think. And I was like, okay, Catherine, go ahead. And Catherine says, Olivia or Taylor, and Leva smirks. And she's like, that's what we're here to do, express our feelings. So they say, Leva, do you think Chubbs was right about Catherine always being the problem in the friend group? And Leva goes, I think so, but who am I to know? That is kind of, the more I think about this in the 8 hours before I feel like I'm recording, when I recorded the first part, I was like, I just don't get the thing of having Leva be there when I don't think she likes any of the cast. And I don't know how much the cast likes her. So it's like a really odd man out that I hope they're jamming down our throats because of the show Southern Hospitality, but I don't know. You guys get that. And it's not anything personal about Leva. It's just like we can sense when somebody doesn't want to be there, but they're there. I don't know. It's like a really weird feeling I get. Leva continues that she had to put everything to bed with Catherine. And Andy says, hey, we need to talk about those disgusting meatballs with the jelly you brought to Friendsgiving. And maybe you should stop cooking for men. And I was like, Andy, you probably should calm down. Catherine's going to like ram you. And Shep's like, I really like those meatballs at Friendsgiving. I like them. It was good, Then he asked if the relationship with Chubbs was staged because of her racial insensitivity from 2 seasons ago. Remember, with the monkey emoji and all that stuff, and they cut to Vanita. He then asked them to raise their hands, and pretty much everyone raises their hand. And so that was pretty intense. So after a dramatic, they say, after a dramatic breakup with Austin, they talk about Austin's butt. And then we see Shep's butt and like flat butts and big butts and just butts all around. And then we get the hard-hitting question from Andy Cohen. Austin, why haven't you seen Craig's dick? And why do you want to see Craig's dick? And Austin's like, it's just been too long. We've been like friends. And like, it's not like we should see each other's dicks, like I got to tell you guys, I know I'm not like a bona fide card carrying dude, like a bro, but I don't like, I've seen my friend Dusty's dick. Like that was by accident when we were camping in high school. And like, but I don't make it a pattern to like look. And I didn't have the friends that were like, let's pull out our dicks at parties. And like, I feel like maybe I should have, and like I missed out on something. Like for the guys listening out there, like, I mean, was there a lot of like dick waving parties? Like, I'm not even like, I'm only half joking here. I'm like, I almost think this is like a rite of passage that I just wasn't invited to. Nobody was having me wave my dick anywhere. And now I feel like I see these and Austin just like, yeah, like, and then we go on to find out that Austin and Shep, they showed each other's their dicks in front of Madison and Taylor. Like they're double dating, showing each other's dicks. And Taylor's like, oh yeah, it's pretty much like the same dick, which by the way, now that makes it even more interesting if she truly will date Austin sometime, because then she knows what she's getting in for. She's seen Austin's dick, you know? Listen, I can't believe I do this for a living either, you guys. I will say that. And also Andy just really perks up during this whole conversation. And this is when I say Craig gay baits big time. And Craig's like, Andy, will you help us explore our sexuality? And Andy's like, of course, I would be happy to facilitate that. And so we get back to the Austin, and Andy brings up that he was like, you know, he called himself very vanilla in bed, like the 50 Shades of Grey. And we cut back to that scene with Catherine from earlier this season where he's like, I don't want to be hit. I don't want to have I don't want to have candle wax put on me, and I don't want to be hit and stuff. And but then Madison goes, hey, he's not boring in bed. Something must have kept me around for 3 years. And Austin's like, yeah. And you can tell he's happy, but you can tell Olivia's pissed, like, wait a sec, that's not cool. And this is the part that they also talk about Austin's sister. And it's a very personal moment that we saw earlier in the season when he helped unpack his parents, move his parents. And Craig and Shep went with him, and he had a sister that died when he was at a young age. And then he talked about that and going through her stuff, and we see that. And that's what I do, you know, as intense as that is, it really does give a foundation to these shows where it does make you empathize with Austin. It does make you realize there is a person there. Even if he does treat women like shit, that doesn't, you know, mean he's not a person. Like there is this person there, a sensitive person. And they said once his sister was born, you know, it kind of saved his family. And that's why he is so close to his sister now. And we see that she went to Friendsgiving and she's like really funny, and it kind of breathed new life into their family. And I just think that is amazing. So go on a break, and we come in after Austin. I don't know. It's like, I mean, what is Craig and Austin like the favorites of the show? Like Shep has just been there since day one, but he never gets the girls thirsting after him like Craig and Austin do. And like I've said in previous recaps, I do wonder if Shep's like, fuck, I should have broke up with Taylor earlier so I could go to Winter House. I need to bang Sierra. Oh, so they start talking about this sister thing, and we see that during this, Taylor gets up and walks away because I guess Taylor's sister is going through cancer right now. And, you know, Austin says, you know, she just feels very deeply and she's very connected to my emotions, which was kind of a interesting thing to bring up. And they really like each other. So she left, and she's like crying backstage about her sister, which, listen, I totally get. And I hope her sister's going to be okay. So also during this, Leva says, she finally like wakes up and goes, Craig, you literally said, do you want to go to war with me? I'm the most popular person on Bravo. And she goes, you literally said those words to me. He's like, I don't remember saying those words. And he's like, you said it right in front of Paige and me. And Craig's like, oh. And then Andy goes, okay, we'll come back to this. And I'm like, no, Andy, no, we do this now. This is when we do this. No. This is where I like, no, Andy, no, you don't come back to it. They brought it up naturally. Let's go with it. But listen, we've known this for a long time. Craig thinks very highly of himself. And I think Craig thinks of himself as Mr. Bravo. And I think to a degree, Paige likes the thought of a Mrs. Bravo, but I also think Paige has a lot of other stuff going on. Craig thinks of himself as the Elon Musk of Bravo. Truly, he is the Elon Musk of Bravo. He's sewing, he's building a house, he's trying to be with Paige, he's giving her cheese balls to eat, he's doing it all. And he's the king of Bravo. And I like that he didn't say, I just thought he said he was like the number one guy of Bravo, but he said the number one person of Bravo. And I'm like, oh, my dear sweet Craig. No. Like, Craig, are you aware the Housewives exist? Like, do you know your ratings compared to other ratings? Like, you're popular, but like this week at BravoCon, you guys, we've got to make sure we're there to meet each other as much as the Bravo Lebs. Like, don't feed their egos too much. In fact, I would sometimes go, oh, are you Craig? Oh, hey, man. Oh, you're on the Southern Charm show. Oh, I like that. Oh, congratulations. And then just leave it at that. I go, hey, can I get a picture? My sister would freak out. Like, do one of those. Also, at this time, Madison says Olivia's homely. Wow. Before this, Olivia said Madison is so beautiful, and she takes it as a compliment to be compared to her because they're talking about Austin being with somebody that looks like Madison. And she's like, I thought Madison said I was homely. So they're always going to have an issue with each other because Austin, you can tell, is just, there is something that he digs about women fighting over him, I think. We also bring up that Sierra and Austin spent the night together during this season. And he's like, I wouldn't have done it if Olivia hadn't brought a date to the wedding. And then Craig is starting to defend his homeboy. He's like, I guess we didn't go home with Sierra to hurt Olivia. I guess Austin, like I said, Austin, you're going to go talk to Sierra. And, and Olivia goes, yeah, but did you tell him to do it naked? And she literally goes, NEKKID. In the closed caption, it says naked. You didn't have to do it naked. That's, by the way, that next time I get naked with a person, I don't, baptism, I don't know. I'm going to say, you want me to get naked? You won't get naked? You got naked? Let's get naked. I don't know. I love that. I wish she was a more popular character because we could make naked shirts. Let's get naked. That's sewing down south. Yeah. But we still don't really he obviously slept with Sierra that night. And I love that it's under the auspice of we really had things to work out. And it's like, yeah, your penis had to work out with her vajayjay. Like, that is what I'm so sorry, Mom. So Andy's like, are you guys in a relationship? What's going on? And they're like, and Olivia's like, no. And Austin's like, no. And they're like, Austin, you seem sad. And he coughs. He's like, I guess I never wanted to lose her because it would break my heart. And I guess they did date after filming, you guys, for a bit, but they went into a gray area. So I guess it was huge swaths of time in between everything. And Austin didn't want to commit. Right. And then I guess we did get to a point where he was like, yeah, I do want to be with you. But she was like, then she wasn't ready. And it turns out then he was like, okay, cool. Just want to check. It was one of those things where he waited too long. He came back and then she said, you know what? I don't think I'm into it right now. And he's like, cool, peace. When she, I think, wanted him to fight a little bit for her. So they go to commercial break. We come back. We're talking about Madison's engagement. And Catherine gets asked if she would date a Mormon because Madison's dude is a Mormon. And because she's like, I love how slick he looks. I love it. And I love how Salt Lake City looks. They go on to talk about Madison's sex tape. And I guess she made one with her fiance. And I got to tell you guys, that is just what we call a good investment, right? Because if times are tough down the road, Madison can sell that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even I'm teasing, but at the same, I don't know why I'm whispering, but at the same time, she can sell that shit. She can sell that 10 years down the road, puts her son through college, boom. Kim K. Hollywood, A-Rod's mistress, does a double header. Yeah. Honestly, if God forbid this couple doesn't make it, which I'm sure they totally will, but then Madison can sell that. You know what I'm saying? That's that's value. That's property. I don't know if I'm looking at it the other way, but I think that could really make some money. So she's asked if Andy asked if she ever did one with Austin, and she goes, no, no. And then they talk about Latter-day Saints and say he isn't a practicing Latter-day Saint, a Mormon. Someone asked if Austin and Madison were hooking up right up to the point where she got engaged, and they both firmly deny that. And then Madison says, you were my friend, and now we aren't friends. And Leva says, I think Madison likes to get a rise out of Austin. And I think that is completely true. I think we all see that, right? That is a very clear thing. And I guess they were trying to be cordial until she got engaged. And then Austin felt betrayed by Madison because she didn't give him a heads up. And he's all salty all the time. And we saw that. Listen, guys, once we get hurt, like we make the small things women do into huge emotional just minefields. When we do huge things to women, I mean, we fucking destroy, and then we wonder why women are so hurt. But like women will do these little things, or they'll tease us, or they'll be like, you know what, I'm actually just moving on. We'll be like, you fucking crushed me. What did you do? Why are you doing this to me? I love you. We're such wussies. Like truly, I'm saying this as a wussy. Like it'll be the smallest, no. Please love me. Because that's what I'm kind of half thinking Shep will get to, of like, love me again, Taylor. And then he'll get her to love her again. And then he'll be like, psych, you know? So I totally see the Madison and Austin relationship. And I also see that Madison does get a kick out of, I don't think Madison loves Austin, but I do think Madison gets a kick out of that guy that's hung around for 3 years and she can still hurt. I think there is power in that. We get to the part about Venita and Madison fighting, and Austin's like, are you guys friends right now? And Venita's like, and you know, Venita and Madison look at each other like, no. And this goes to the point. Do you guys remember the dual birthday party that Madison and Venita had? And Venita says, so like Leva, remember, texted Venita about Madison, and in the show, Venita said that Madison grabbed her phone, when in reality, Venita was like, look who just texted. And so Venita totally lied on camera. Now, this is what I told you during the recap. If you've listened to all these recaps, I said, this makes no sense. She did not grab the phone. She did not grab the phone to play music. I'm telling you, Venita showed it to her. And that is exactly what happened, because it just makes sense. If that is your homegirl, you're going to show her the nasty text that Leva sent. So Madison's like, fuck you, Leva, and fuck you, Venita. And this makes me mad, because it's like, this is one of those things where Madison feels super comfortable saying, like, just getting in Venita's face. And this is like kind of just more of that thing of like, why does she get to be the punching bag? So not even so much, but like the viciousness in which she's punched. And you can tell it hurts her. Like you can tell she's like, okay. And to get a dressing down on national TV, there's got to be a little something more, you know, like when we get dressed down in real life, it hurts. But on national TV, I think there's something potentially even worse, because you have to relive it again and again and again and again and again in repeats, or listen to some podcaster talk about it, you know? Also, we cut to break and Austin's showing Catherine mean tweets, which I was like, where am I? Like, what the fuck? Did I not like, I feel like I get totally ignored in podcasting meanness and mean tweets. I never get brought up on these shows, which actually, I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm kind of glad. I don't think I can handle that. I don't like, as much as I talk shit, like you could blow me over like with one word, and I don't want to be in fights with anybody. So like, I like to believe that these are characters in a show. Like this is like a metaverse and these people don't even exist. And now that I'm actually saying this out loud, kind of scared to go to BravoCon, don't really want to bump into any of these people, but I'm excited to meet the fans of the shows, not, you know. So I think Olivia is distraught that she isn't dating Austin. So I guess she's crying backstage. And I'm just like, what? Like, how tall is this dude? Like, why are we giving him this much power over everybody? It makes no sense. So he's like, I guess she wanted me to fight for her. And Andy's like, this seems like a pattern for you. And Madison goes, that's true. He gets angry and the truth does hurt, doesn't it? And now Madison and Olivia are fighting again about Austin, and she's defending it. It's crazy. And Madison's telling her to let it go. And Austin says, you know, I don't mean to, Andy. I don't mean to. It's just like, you know, like what? And, you know, Leva chimes in to give some bullshit advice. And Leva says, this is why they date younger girls. And Shep's like, you might got a point. You, like these, I think you're kind of dead on with that. I mean, it is true when you think about it, because think about it, when you're dealing with a woman that is their age, these women are smart. They're road tested. They've dealt with guys that have not dealt with their own bullshit. But if they can deal with a younger woman that has not had the kind of experience with men that have been douches, they're like, game time, baby. They don't have to deal with somebody that is on their level, you know? I mean, that it completely makes sense to me. I think it's not that deep of a thought at all. So next week, the reunion continues. And we're going to have, I guess the Patricia stuff with Naomi. We're going to have more fights. And he didn't say the conclusion. So this, I'm guessing, is the second episode, even though we need to end it. I think we don't need a third episode of this. And Winter House premieres on Thursday. They are airing too much Bravo this week for a BravoCon. But don't worry, you have shows all week with guests. We are not going to be doing a Beverly Hills Friday, but I do have a special guest for you. And I'll be making that up next week when I come back from BravoCon. So you'll get a double reunion, baby. It's going to be the worst day of my life having to talk about 2 reunion episodes back to back. You guys, if you like this podcast, please rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you like it even more, why don't you go sign up for like $5 a month on Patreon, and you get like access to all these episodes, the Kardashian recaps. What else are we're recapping Selling the OC on there. We might be recapping Winter House exclusively over there. I don't know. It gets crazy over there. I'm recording an episode tomorrow just for the Patreon. That's it, you guys. It has been a tough day, so I imagine it's been a tough day for you too. Hope this made it a little brighter in any sort of capacity, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Please like and subscribe if you did this on YouTube. Oh man, there is just so many things to ask you guys to do. It gets so exhausting. I can't imagine what you guys go through. Okay, bye.